Welcome everyone to episode 9 of the F1 2012 I Am No Expert Career Mode series. I'm your driver Jack Acid, and as you can see, kicking off here at Silverstone in the United Kingdom. Nice sunny day, but as the session wears on here, you can see that got a pretty good drizzle coming in. Not out on the intermediate or wet tires yet, but as you can see, as the session wore on, very difficult conditions, an absolute swimming pool just about everywhere, having all kinds of traffic issues, and this would basically turn into pretty much a throwaway session. Not going to do us any favors going into qualifying, so going to have to see what we can do based on earlier dry lap times, but of course the pressure is going to be on once we hit qualifying. So now pulling into the end of practice and holding out, and here we are in Q1, and obviously much better conditions. But before we get started, got to take a look at the weather for the weekend. As you know, got to make our setup count for the weekend depending on the weather. And actually, even though we don't stop here to look at it, it is a dry race condition forecast. And the same is true for qualifying, so we shouldn't have any problems that we did in practice in terms of pace with the weather. So going to go ahead and use this custom setup, which I pulled down from Race Department. And I'm sorry that I don't credit users for that. Sometimes these setups work for me and sometimes they don't, so I figured it's better to just sort of remain anonymous and let you know that that's usually where I look for my custom setups, and it's been a staple of mine since F1 2010. So now moving along here to Q2, and actually barely escaped Q1. It was pretty uneventful, didn't bother to include footage, but barely got out of the session in 17th place. And again, that's with dry conditions. So here, team expectations is to finish 10th, and that seems a bit lofty, especially because, again, Silverstone, not really my best circuit, seemed to have problems. Going a little wide here, and you can see Alonso trying to make the most of it to get around me. And that's definitely one big difference in F1 2012, is the AI is a lot more aggressive in qualifying. You can see getting things wrong here in Maggots and now through Beckett's. And these are the corners that would provide all kinds of problems for me. You can see here, able to improve my time by over 2 seconds on my my second lap, but did not improve my position of 15th, and now coming around to refuel, you can see down into 17th. So going to go ahead and bide our time just a little bit and double checking our tires here, and you can see that we've got just over 7 minutes to go, and going to go back out and see what we can do to improve our time. Remember, we need to be in the top 10 in order to move on to Q3, and that's not looking promising at all. But of course we'd like to do a lot better than 17th, but this was not to be. Basically running out of fuel and having a couple more goes here, and cannot do anything about my time, and have to be resigned to the fact that it's just not going to work out for this weekend. Going to go ahead and pit before I run out of fuel. You can see 35 seconds left in the session, and as we roll it into the garage, the session will expire, and 17th is the best that we can do. The only real good news is that our teammate was knocked out in Q1, so at least we were able to win the teammate challenge for qualifying. And speaking of which, I've actually been elevated to equal status with my teammate, Daniel Ricciardo, which unfortunately kind of amounts to nothing. Still have no control over the R&D development of the team, and pretty much resigned to the fact that that won't amount to much here with Toro Rosso. So now moving along here to race day, and going to go ahead and start off on the option tires, and due to pit in lap 5. And going to use a race fuel strategy of normal. We want to start off with a medium fuel load, and we'll manage that as we need to. I personally enjoy having to manage my fuel just a bit, others may not. So starting out here on the starting grid here in P17, looking at the back of Paul di Resta in the Force India next to Lewis Hamilton in the McLaren, and here we go. Here at Silverstone, not a great start. Lewis Hamilton getting a pretty good jump on me. Here comes my teammate Ricciardo. He's able to overtake, coming down into a very tricky turn 1. And into the back of Lewis Hamilton, avoiding contact there, looking for some real estate. Very wide corners coming down here into turn 3, known as Village. And a lot of real estate, cutting on the inside of Alonso, getting up in the back of Hulkenberg, now trying to get around Bruno Senna and the Williams, coming around here on the inside of the loop, and now looking at the back of Sergio Perez, and coming around turn 5. And leveling out now down behind the Sauber, coming down the Wellington Straight, now wheel-to-wheel with Sergio Perez, and heading down into the very tricky Brooklands corner, turn 6. And don't want to make contact with anyone here. Now trying to make a move on the inside of the Lotus here at turn 7, known as Luffield. And it looks like going to be able to make the overtake stick. Yes, we are. Now chasing down Schumacher all the way up into P5 in the Mercedes. And coming down here into a very difficult corner for me. Turn 9, just have a really hard time getting my entry point right and routinely go off. As you can see, starting to have problems there, and the AI tends to be very quick through here. And you can see Sergio Perez trying to make me pay, coming through these sweeps, which have given me problems throughout the weekend here at Maggots and now Beckett's. And a lot of it has to do with just not getting my entry points right, not entering the corners from the right end of the circuit. Now coming out here along the hanger straight. And you can see Sergio Perez trying to make a move here. He might have an opportunity here on the inside, but he's going to run out of space. And he falls back as we come through turn 15, also known as Stowe, a very, very wide, sweeping right-handed corner. And difficult to keep the car within its limits. So now coming up to the final corner for the end of lap 1. And right now running up into P6, so a very good start. You can see pretty good gap back to Sergio Perez. But that's soon to change. Now moving ahead here further into lap 2. And coming down the Wellington Straight again and changing my fuel mix. Look at how much fuel I have. I've got 3+ laps. Don't forget I did run a normal fuel load. And somehow I have 3 extra laps of fuel here on lap 2, so that's got to be a bug. I'm not exactly sure. But I'm going to go ahead and take advantage and go ahead and bump up my fuel mix already. I mean, if they're going to hand me 3 laps of extra fuel, I am going to take advantage. Now coming down into the very tricky turn 9, hoping to get my entry right here. And able to keep it off the ledge this time, but still being hounded by Sergio Perez and the Sauber. Being chased down through turns 10 and 11. And 12 here, and then the very dreaded turn 13. Very easy to go wide there. And you can see Sergio Perez having a look, and he's gliding back and forth. Let's see if he's able to take advantage here along the straight. Able to get a purple sector time, and here comes Sergio Perez on the outside. Let's see if he's got the room. And it looks like he's not going to be able to do it. Trying to hug the curb there, going a little bit wide, but able to find my line coming out of it. And coming down to this very, very slow hairpin and going a little bit wide here, and that's going to give Sergio Perez an opportunity, or is it? Not able to get around, very lucky there, drifted off track and went too wide, missed my braking point. And now here at the start of lap 3, DRS is enabled, and still clinging to P6 for now. And just taking a quick look at timing and scoring, Schumacher almost 6 seconds ahead of us now, so P5 already becoming a big uphill climb, only here in lap 3. Now trying to stay ahead of Perez, coming around turn 4, known as the loop. And let's see if he wants to make a move here, coming down the Wellington Straight. This tends to be where the AI is very, very quick. And going to go ahead and change my fuel mix back down to standard. And as you can see, skipping ahead here to lap 4, coming through the S-sweeps and still maintaining that. And here comes Sergio Perez. Let's see if he's able to make a move on the inside here around turn 13, and he's not able to. But wait a second, it looked like Sergio Perez might have spun out. All of a sudden I saw a little indicator on the mini-map fall away, and now Raikkonen has taken over P7. So really not sure what happened to the Sauber. Don't believe he came into contact with me, but I'm not sure. It's pretty cluttered behind us here. And it's possible that he came into contact with the AI, but my task, of course, has not changed. Still trying to maintain P6, and you can see still getting that chicane all wrong, but Raikkonen not able to get the better of me. But now very, very anxious to get around, coming down here at the start of lap 5, and you can see he's right behind us, and I'd be surprised if we didn't come into contact here. And coming through these wide parts of the track, you have to wonder if he's going to make a move. Going to have to be very conservative in how we take these corners, especially up here. This turn 4 is very tricky and very easy to go wide on. But as you can see, pulling out here through turn 5, starting to expand the gap just a little bit. So moving ahead here further in the lap, and you can see that Raikkonen's made all that up and more, and is pushing very, very hard down the hanger straight. And again, I am scheduled to pit stop. As you can see here, he's just over 2/10 behind. And holding it together here through Stowe. Very tricky corner for me generally. It's so easy to Mr. Apex. And now diving into the pits for our pit stop. And you can see that Raikkonen and a number of cars have come in behind. So that's good news. And because we did start off on the options, we will have our chances to overtake the back markers as the race goes on. And if you take a quick look on the right, you can see I still have 3 extra laps of fuel. Don't forget, I did start this race with a normal fuel strategy, which should mean having to manage the fuel just a bit as the race goes on. Certainly doesn't explain this. So getting out in 4.2 seconds, so a decent time for this game. Anyway, going back to the extra laps of fuel, not sure if that's a glitch with this circuit in particular or what's going on, but not exactly sure why it's giving me so much extra fuel. I haven't been conserving. And as you can see there, pulling out, almost used the rich fuel setting because I do have so much extra fuel, but then thought better of it. Really don't want to be wasting that extra fuel as we're getting warmed up on cold prime tires. Want to wait until we feel settled in. But first things first, got to stay ahead of Alonso, rejoining here in 13th position. And here comes the Ferrari. And Alonso keen to get around. If I had to guess, he has already gone into pit. So he's trying to get around for position at this point. You can see holding him up pretty good, coming here around left field and accelerating out. Really don't have a whole lot of success with that corner, especially under pressure. And have to feel like it's only a matter of time before Alonso gets the better of us. And here at lap 7, there he goes, down into Brooklands. And slight contact there with Alonso trying to get back in front of him. Coming right back to left field where we just left off on lap 6. And you can see that Alonso and I dueling here. Able to fend him off for about a lap, but then there along the Wellington Straight, sure enough, breathing down my neck just like he is right now. And at this point, I'll be very, very lucky if I can maintain P10. Really want to stay in the points. You can see coming out of there, able to build up a pretty good gap. But as we move along here to the same part of the circuit, one lap later, you can see that gap is all but evaporated. Still having problems coming through turns 10 and 11, all through Maggots and Beckett's. And let me tell you, because of how slow I am through those sweeps, the AI just shoots out like a cannon coming out onto the straight. But as you can see, the Toro Rosso holding up very well in the straight line. And that's really saved my bacon. I would say that the most difficult part to hold the AI back is definitely along the Wellington Straight, but along there it seems to hold its ground pretty well. Now starting to lose the car here on the curb down into Vale, and that's going to give Alonso a look. Let's see if he can take advantage, able to get back online there and stay ahead of the Ferrari. Losing grip just for a moment, rolling up over the curb there, now screaming into Abbey. And changing our brake preference to the neutral position, trying to save our tires and keep things neutral. Still have 5 laps to go, want to be cautious with our tread, and skipping just a little bit ahead, changing our fuel mix back to standard. You can see Alonso still in hot pursuit, and becomes my objective on every lap to try and hit this corner right, and I rarely do. Dropping a wheel in the dirt there, having problems on the exit, and coming along through here, Alonso is on us like glue, nose to tail. As we come around the very, very challenging turn 9, very easy to go wide for me. You can see how cautious I'm being. In fact, have some oversteer, and that's going to give Alonso a look here on the outside, now swinging around. See if he makes a move, now being swarmed by Maldonado and Alonso as we head through Maggots and trying to maintain our line with severe pressure, having a hard time. Let's see if we can stick with the curb through turns 13 and out onto the straight, and let's see what kind of pace we have with the AI. Now Maldonado's overtaken Alonso for P10. So very spirited here in the later parts of the race. Now trying to fend off Maldonado, coming up to the loop and off into the marbles, and that's going to give the Williams a chance, and here he goes. There's the overtake. He's able to make that stick with ease, now chasing him down onto the Wellington Straight, and here comes Alonso, anxious to pick up the spoils, now turning up our fuel, anxious to get some speed, and Alonso runs out of track on the right-hand side, able to cut him off. And now very, very desperate to stay within the points. Was riding P8 up until that point. And what a difference it makes to have a car to follow through some of these corners. You can see they're able to handle left field probably with the best accuracy I have all day. But that's not going to last long if this pace continues. The Williams absolutely pulling away, coming through turn 9. Let's see if we can stay ahead of Alonso. And going a little wide there, but the AI again just very, very quick through there. Now backing off, let's see if we can handle the pressure coming through all these sweep corners. And you can see starting to get things all wrong here at Beckett's. And here comes Alonso coming around turn 13, able to stay with the curb. And Alonso still looking for a way around, trying to follow the racing line all the way through. And the AI not making any kind of a move around me. But boy, look at this train of cars coming down the straight here. And I'm in serious trouble if I have any more problems. Trying to keep things online, coming up around here, heading down into Vale, which I've had off and on problems with all day. Not exactly sure why, missing my braking points. And you can see very conservative there and start to lose the car because of going over the curb too fast and the Ferrari not able to get around me. But it's here at the start of lap 11, and you have to think that Alonso's going to have his opportunities. Hopefully we can stay ahead for 3 more laps. The bottom line is that I am just not good enough at Silverstone. Didn't practice enough, I guess, to stay with these front-running teams having too many problems. Now coming down into Village. And let's see if we can avoid the same problems here at turn 4, getting swarmed and starting to slide just a little bit, and there goes Alonso. Alonso able to get around, now being swarmed by Vettel. Just like on the last lap where Maldonado was able to get around us, Alonso able to exploit, and Vettel making like Alonso this time and trying to make a move here. Let's see if he's got the room to do it. Looks like he's going to run out of room on the right-hand side. So this race unraveling swiftly in just over the span of about 1 lap, maybe a little bit more. Now skipping ahead further into lap 11, trying to fend off Vettel under severe pressure. coming through a part of the circuit that I've struggled with the most. And now being swarmed by Vettel, and looks like he's got company. Let's see if the AI's got the pace here. And not sure who's joining Vettel. Taking a quick look back, and it looks like Sergio Perez in the Sauber, giving me grief coming down here along the hangar straight and hoping to stay ahead of them and start to roll up over the curb there. Thankfully, don't lose any grip. And now coming down into Vale, and you can see that Sergio Perez was actually able to overtake Vettel along the straight there. So now competing with the Sauber for the final point on the grid as we start lap 12, coming around the corner here. And taking a quick look at timing and scoring, you can see that Alonso already able to build up almost a 4-second gap. You can see him up way ahead. Starting to lose the car there at turn 1. And have to conquer my demons. Have to get around Village here and see if we can't stay ahead of Sergio Perez at turn 4, also known as the loop. And you can see being very conservative this time, and the arrow indicator showing that Perez was looking for any window that he could find, but not able to find one there, and ideally keep a pretty good gap. So here we go, final lap, and now you can see that Alonso's almost 4 seconds ahead, so he's getting about 4 seconds a lap on me. And as you may have noticed, up my fuel to rich fuel mix. Have no need to conserve fuel at this point. Coming around Village and going a little bit wide and start to drop a couple of wheels off the track and do so. And here's turn 4. Let's see if Sergio Perez and his friends want to get in on the action. Not able to get around me, so the final time we have to go around that corner, able to conquer our fears and get through it. But of course we have several corners to go. It's certainly not out of the woods yet. And here comes the screaming pace of the AI coming down the Wellington Straight one last time, swinging through Brooklands and now around left field. And the AI, as I've mentioned several times before, gets extremely aggressive on the last lap or two. And there's no exception in this race. As you can see, Perez pushing very, very hard. Being told that my fuel levels are basically at an optimal range. That basically means nothing. Got to get through about 1/2 lap to go. And you can see that if I make any mistakes coming through these sweeps for the last time, it's going to cost me not only points, but probably 3 or 4 positions. And here comes Perez. And one last time down the hangar straight. Let's see who's got the pace. So far I've been able to outrun all the cars down along here. And just as every lap up until now has indicated, the AI just does not have the pace to compete with me along this straight. So that's definitely saving my position. Now trying to keep it together through Stowe and down into Vale for the last time. And that's going to put us in a position to maintain P10. Let's see if we go wide. No, we do not. Miss the curb there. Do actually go a little bit wide there, but not enough to slow the car down. And the AI not able to take advantage, and we will finally get across the finish line, mercifully. After a very, very stressful race there, finishing 10th. Objective was to finish 12th, so we do well from a team perspective, and also beating out our teammate all the way down into 15th. And taking a quick look at the results, I apologize, I didn't keep it on that long. But Mark Webber was able to win the race. Now taking a look at the Drivers' Championship, and you can see right now we're running in the 10th spot, but 107 points behind, so quite a bit of ground to make up on, although we are only halfway through the season. Hard to imagine that the car is going to do much better than it is now, but let's see what the team has in store for us in terms of testing. Like I said, I think I'm going to get a development option in the next race or two, so maybe that'll have some kind of a dramatic improvement. We can start chipping away at the leaders. So until then, want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and trying to post these as often as I can, usually once a week, but given here with the holidays, might be a little light here through December, but I'll be sure to get back to them as quickly as I can following the holidays. I just have way too much going on this time of year. Hope you understand. And but I won't abandon the series, of course. I'll be back at it at some point in the near future. So in the meantime, feel free to check out my channel for a number of other gameplay videos, most of which have commentary. Certainly everything I've been doing over the last several weeks have only been with commentary. And currently chipping away slowly at a Forza Horizon series, as well as, of course, this series. And if that's not good enough for you, I do have Forza 4 as well as F1 2011, an entire season with Force India. I got about 219 videos posted. It's a lot of content, so hopefully that'll keep you busy in the meantime. So thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you at the next one.